Hi, Kathryn here with Handmade by circleartdesigns. Well, today on my work table, I will be working on a project from the February Bargain Bead Box. This will be a bead weaving project. We've entitled this Bicone Joy in Shades of Blue, and it will be another bracelet project. I seem to be stuck on bracelet projects right now, but I am really loving working with the bead weaving projects. So let's turn our eyes to our work table and get started. So as I turn my eyes to the work table, I see my Thankful and Blessed mat, and I absolutely love this. I know I tell you every time, but first of all, it makes me think of my Lord and then of my daughter, who is such a blessing. And as I turn my eyes to the work table, I see a little stone that came in my Christmas stocking this year. It was also a gift from my daughter, and it is called, or it has written on it, Imagine. I've often wondered, do you think animals have the gift of imagination? I don't know if they do, but I know that people are given this gift. And with this gift, we can imagine all the things we can create. Through our imagination, we not only create our world, but we also create the beautiful things in our world, like music and art and dance and painting. Oh, the list goes on. And right in the middle of that is the gift of creating with our hands. So I am thankful to my Lord for the gift of creating, of being able to imagine, looking at a set of beads or whatever, and imagining what I'm going to do with them. How about you? What are you thankful for today? All right, let's go ahead and get our mat set up so we can get started. So, from the February Bargain Bead Box, we have this light sapphire 4mm crystal faceted bicones. Aren't those pretty? Let's get them out of the package so we can really look at them. I really love these. Now, I saw these. I clicked on order extras, and they were in the Bargain Bead Box shop. Aren't those pretty? I just love the light sapphire. So, as of this morning, they still had some. Now, after this, what do we need with a shades of blue? Is it shades of blue if it's only one shade of blue? I don't think so. But up next, let me get these all in a pile. I really want you to see the way they sparkle. This light blue sapphire is gorgeous. But I looked in my stash to see if I had something to go with it, and lo and behold, I did. These are also 4mm crystal faceted bicones in a dark sapphire. Aren't those beautiful? I just love them, and these are going to look amazing together. So what are we going to add to this palette? Let's see here. I think we will add some beautiful black seed beads. These are a black 10-0 seed bead. I picked these up at Hobby Lobby, and I just love them. They're shine. They have a shine to them, but they're an opaque color, and they don't have too much of a shine. And when you put that light sapphire and that dark sapphire with those black seed beads, it's going to be stunning. So next up is this Nemo nylon beading thread. This is in a D, sometimes called D-Lon, and it is for delicate beads. And this will be what we will be using for this project instead of the illusion cord this time. we're also going to need these 2 beading needles. These are large hole needles. Actually, they are split from top to bottom. It's easy to thread, and they will go in these 11-0 seed beads just beautifully. I did, when I was bead weaving, some of them went through as many as 4 times. So I have no problem with these needles going through repeated times. And I love them. They're my favorite, is usually what I use. We're going to need a, if you want one, we're going to need the lobster claw and some jump rings, and then I'm also going to be using the wire guards to protect the cord and this number 1 crimp from Bead Along, and I believe that is everything we're going to need. So to get started, we're going to take 3 lengths of cord. I have a 15-inch ruler across here, so I'm taking 3 and just a little bit of this D-long cord. Let's snip it off, and I will show you what we're going to do next. I'm going to take the ends of this cord, and I'm going to put them through my needles. Let's see if I can't get it untangled. I'm always tangling my cord. It's not the cord's fault. It's the person who is using the cord. Now, I'm looking for the slot down the center of the needle, just like that. Isn't that cool? I just love these needles. I forget where I learned about them, but they have been my go-to for years. I also get these sometimes at Hobby Lobby, but most of the time off of Amazon. You just put your end through, and then I'm going to do the same thing again with this other one. So this will be a 2-needle beading project for the bead weaving. Sometimes I do a 1. I have using a 1 needle planned in the future, but for today it's a 2 cord, 2 thread project. So you'll need 2 of these needles. Once I get those together, then I'm going to go ahead and take my wire guard, and I'm going to put it right down the middle. I'm sorry, right in the tubes. I'm sitting here thinking about what I'm going to tell you next. Okay, right in the tubes, and we're going to pull it to the middle of the cord. Let's see if I can get my hands back in. Yep, there you go. So it's just like that. And once I do that, I'm going to put a crimp on. Now, this is something I don't do all the time, and if you don't want to do a crimp, then a over knot is perfect. That's where you just take, or I guess it could be a surgeon's knot, where you take your needle and wrap it around twice, and that will work just as well. But I'm going to go ahead and use a crimp for this, which means I will have to bypass the crimp when I go back up the bracelet to do my second pass through on all these beads. This is my crimper. You have this right here. Do you see the larger half circle? That's the one we start with. Then we do a 4th turn, bring it to the front, and you do another crimp. So the first crimp makes an M, and you should have your cord or your thread or whatever going through both sides parallel to each other when you crimp the back. Oop. It got away from me. It is a little tricky to put a crimp on this thread. So that's why I said if you would prefer just to tie a knot, make sure you do 2 surgeon knots. And to do a surgeon knot, you're going to take your cord and you're going to wrap the needle through the cord twice and pull down. There you go, just like that for the crimp. Once I get it straightened out again, we'll try this again. There, it's just this, no, I don't want to. But once I get it crimped, then we're going to do a 4th turn, and just like that, and move it to the top, and we're going to mash that M that it makes down. And now to make good and sure it holds, just in case the thread doesn't want to hold on that crimp, we're going to do a surgeon's knot, which is taking your needle on one side and wrapping it under over through the cord twice, like you were going to just tie a knot, and take it down, and that will lock the crimp and the wire guard in place. So if you watched the previous bead weaving project, you'll know what a crossover is. There are diagrams in that. You put your seed bead on and put your needle left to right, right to left. So it's going through each direction. And you're going to go ahead and pull this down to the beginning of your bracelet. And for me, that pushes it right up against that knot with the crimp. Now, once you have a crossover done, you're ready for the next step. I love the previous bead that we've done. I'm having this pop whenever, the previous bead weaving project. So do take a look. I drew some diagrams. They're kind of crazy looking, but I think they're easy to follow. All right. So what I had to do was it had wanted to set up on its side, and you want it to set across parallel with the wire guard, not with your beading string. Now, once you've got it set crossways the way you want it to be, you're going to go ahead and do the next step, which you're going to put on 3 seed beads on one side and 3 seed beads on the other side. We'll get those on. And then you're going to take the bicone of your choice. We're going to start out with the light sapphire. We're going to put this light sapphire on here and one on each side. And we can go ahead and move them down towards the crossover bead. Let's see. Now this would be real pretty in silver too, or gold. Once you've got that done, then you're going to take another of your, these are 10 O's, not 11 O's, but 11 O's will work. And go ahead and do another crossover, right to left, left to right. Didn't I tell you those needles would go through these seed beads? I think that's amazing. And pull it down, and you have this little heart-shaped piece on your bracelet. It has the seed beads to make the point, and the top of the little heart, or diamond, depending on how you want to look at it, is in the bicone. So since we ended with a crossover bead, that little black seed bead, we're going to go ahead and put 3 more seed beads on each one of the thread cords, the thread. I kept cords, thread, what am I going to use? And then once I've got that done, we're going to go ahead, and this time we're going to put that dark sapphire. I'm trying to get it over where you can see it better. And so we're going to put it on here, one side, and then the other, and my hands are out of the picture. I don't know why. Oh, yes, I do too. Look at where my camera has put my, my little my little pin in the middle. So now we have those dark bicones, and we're going to go ahead and bring those down. And I'm going to go ahead and pick up another one of the 11 O's in that black. I'm going to cross my needles through there. If I can get it crossed, it says, oh, come on, Kathryn. Oh, you know, I need new glasses. All right. Pull it down, and you've got it started. Pull that, and there you have the next color. Now, I think we'll do this one more time, maybe 2, and then we will be ready to work this pattern up until we get to the other side. So since we've done the crossover, we're going to go ahead and put the 3 on one side. Then we're going to put the 3 on the other side. We just did a dark sapphire, so we're going to this time to put the light sapphire. Now, I have seen this done in reds and pinks, and on I think on TikTok. I tried to look it up to see if I could find the other person I saw doing this, but I did not, and I didn't save it to anything on my regular account, and so I'm sorry, but I did see a woman do it in red, or a man, I'm not sure, a red and the pink, and so that's the pattern we're going to follow. Now, what I'm doing here, I'm going ahead and tying this. I've done 3, and I'm tying it. And that was a surgeon or a crossover knot. I'm going to do this again. I wrap the thread around it twice, pull it down, and make a surgeon's knot. I'm tying this in between every third one, but I'm not starting from the knot. What I'm doing is I'm running this thread back through that 11, left to right and right to left. That way, the stitches are secure with the knot, the surgeon's knot, but they are also, the tension is secure, but putting it left to right and right to left again, it gives me the right starting point from the crossover bead. Now, there's really plenty of room in this 11-0. The problem is not the 11-0. The problem is my old eyes. And I'm going to have to pull out my magnifiers, which makes me so sad. But when I was a very young lady, I could do 15 O's and just see them. But not anymore. 11 O's I still have to use magnifiers with. So once I have done that, I have done 3 complete components, and then I have done a surgeon knot over after the crossover bead. Then I have run the one needle from left to right and the other needle from right to left, and that secures the tension on this bracelet. So now I finished with the light sapphire. I'm going to go ahead and I have put the beadwork on for the dark sapphire. I'm putting my needles, crossing them over through the bead. I'm going to pull it out one direction and then the other. I'm going to bring this down, and I will do 3 complete components before I tie it again. But like I said, I'm going to tie at the end of the 3rd component. So let's do this one more time so that you will know what I'm doing, and then I will leave you until I get it finished. So this is the second one from our previous knot. So I'm putting on the light sapphire now. Remember, 3 seed beads and the light sapphire on both cords. I'm picking up 1 bead to do a crossover. I'm going to put my needles through the bead left to right and right to left. And then I am going to go ahead and I'm going to, did I pull that thing completely out? I did. And going to go ahead and pull it through, pull this side through, and I'm going to bring it down. So that is component number 2. So next, we will put on the dark sapphire, and then we will do the cord tying. So we're going to go 3 seed beads on each side, just like that. Then we're going to go ahead and put on a dark sapphire and a dark sapphire, just like that. And I'm going to go ahead and pick up a bead for the crossover. And this crossover it doesn't have to be a matching bead, but for this design, I wanted it to be matching. Matchy matchy, as my children used to say. And this is the 3rd component, right? The 3rd crossover in that 3 component set. 1 wrap. Oops, it got away from me. 2 wraps. And we're going to pull it down, just like that. We're going to do it again. If our hands can get it back in play. Oh, please. Oh, no, it didn't. So I did 2 wraps around the needle, and I'm pulling it down again, just like that. Then I'm going to go left to right. Hold it down. Yep, I see the needle, Kathryn. Okay, left to right. We're going to go through that seed bead so it's coming out in the appropriate place to start the next component. And then we're going to go right to left so it's coming out of the correct place. Otherwise, if you don't do this step, your beads will not start at the point. And we want the beads to start at the point. And I mean, you could just make the knot and keep going. But the problem with that is, number one, it would change the design. And number two, it would not put your thread in the correct place to continue with your work. I'm going to continue this till I get 7 inches, and I'll see you in a moment. So I'm checking to make sure that my bracelet is going to be big enough with, or not too big, with all my pieces. And the only way I know how to do that is to lay them all out on the mat. So I put on my wire guard and my jump ring and my, there you go. I'm going to go ahead and put on a crimp and my lobster claw clasp to make sure that this was going to be about 7 1/4 to 7 1/2 inches when I get it finished. Now I'm putting on my, whoop, there you are, my number 1 crimp. I'm going to put that down on both sides, just like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and get my wire guard, and I'm going to, actually, what? I know what I was doing. I went, oh, my pen has disappeared. Okay, so we're bringing the crimp down, and then I'm going to put my wire guard on. I'm going to put it through tubing on one side and the tube on the other side. So this is actually another of your crossovers, only you're using with the wire guard. You're going to finish this bracelet by going up one side of the tube, around, and down the other side of the tube on the, I've started with the right side. So you're going to bring it down just like that. And then you're going to take the other side and you're going to go through the tubing that you just came out of with the second needle. So you've got the first needle coming out of that tube, and you're going to put the second needle into that tube. You're going to bring it through just like that. And then you're going to go around and back down the tube you first went into. So now you have a needle coming out of both sides of this wire guard. Pull it down so that one's coming out and going around, and the other one is going up and down and going out the other side. So this is another crossover, but you're doing the crossover with your wire guard. Now then, let's see if I can't get this here where you can see what I'm doing. Once I have got this done, I'm going to put this through my crimp, and then I'm going to tie, once I crimp, I'm going to tie a knot wherever these needles come out, because I want to make sure this is held fast. Now you'll notice that there is only, and I mean, in this one, there are actually 2 of your threads going through this wire guard. It's a double thread. When I get to the other side, I'm going to go around and make that a double thread also. And you might be thinking, well, haven't you finished when you do this? Well, no. Now, if I was using the illusion cording, I would be through. But this is thread, and you don't want it to break on you. That's one of the reasons I tie knots as I go along. When I go through and enforce this, every inch to inch and a half, I'm going to tie a half hitch on one side or the other, depending on what I'm using. Now then, once we've got that through, and if you'll notice, I went through beads all the way down to the second seed bead after the bicone. I'm going to mash this just like that. And then I'm going to quarter turn it, put it to the front, and mash it again. And then I'm going to tie a knot whenever I start going back down the bracelet. I'm sorry, my big fingers are in the way. So I have come out the seed bead right under the bicone. I've gone under that seed bead. I wish my fingers were in the right place. And I have made a little loop. I put my needle through the little loop and I'm tying it right on the cord. And that holds that makes sure the crimp, even if it didn't hold the thread, it makes sure it's in place. Let's see if I can do this again. We're going to go through these seed beads. Oh, I hope the whole thing isn't like this. Okay, go through this seed bead all the way down until we get it. There you go. Thank you. All the way down till we go through that crossover right there. And then I'm going to pull it through just like that. Then we crossed over, so we're going to be on the other side. And we're going to we're going to go through that bicone, just like that. And then we're going, come on. It wanted to eat itself. Go through just like that. And then we're going to go, and I'm going to half hitch this. It goes underneath the seed bead I came out of. It goes through the little loop I made. And then I'm going to be very careful. Make sure the thread is coming out of the bead. It's just underneath the bead that I came out of. And I'm going to tie that little half hitch knot right there. Now then, I am going to go through the next seed bead because I had come out of that bicone. I'm going to go through like that. I'm going to go through the crossover bead, just like that. I'm going to have to reposition so I can see that crossover bead. Oh, it says, help me, help me. How many did you put here? Through that bead, just like that. And I know it will go because I did it. Oh dear. There you go. And once I get that done, then I'm going to go through the bicone on the opposite side. So you're weaving left to right and right to left. Or if you start in the right, you're weaving right to left and then left to right. But you're going across, you're changing every time you have a crossover bead. Now I've gone under the bead, I've put the needle through that little loop, and I am going to go ahead and very gently, making sure that circle is sitting right where that loop was, and then I'm going to go to the next. The trick to this is always make sure your circle is setting right under the bead you came out of when you make that half hitch. Going back across, which means I will go ahead and I will go through that bicone, just like that. Now the ones that are going to be under the wrist, I have a tendency to tie every time I go through a bicone. But as I get to the top, I will skip one or two components and go ahead and space the knots out a little more because they're not having the kind of stress. But I'm going to do this all the way up, and then I'm going to do it on the other side and go all the way up, and I will meet you when I get to the other side. I am so sorry. I thought I had recorded this, but I had not, so let me tell you what we're going to do. When you go all the way down reinforcing your bracelet, when you get to the to the wire guard we started with, you're going to bypass the crimp. You're going to go up the tubing on the left and down it again on the right. This gives you a second thread through this wire guard. Then with the needle that you have on the right, you are also going to you're going to skip the crimp, go up the tubing on the right, around the half circle, and down the tubing on the left. Then you're going to go through the passover bead you started with, bringing the right needle through the bead to the left, and the left needle to the bead through the right. So that's up and over to the left, up and over to the right. Do a crossover through that first bead we started with, remembering you're skipping your crimp. And then once you've done that and you get your needles in place, go through the 3 11-ohs that we started with on each side and do a half hitch. Do a crossover, go through the bicone and do another half hitch on the right. Go through the 3 on the other side, go back through the crossover seed bead and go down and do a knot, and then do your half hitch after you go through the bicone, and that bracelet is finished. Before we move on, would you take a moment and like and leave a comment for this video? And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please consider doing so. Thank you so much. All right, now's the time to decide what type of clasp you're going to use. A lot of people like the lobster claw clasp, and I think they're awesome. But let's go ahead and open up our jump rings. I'm opening up a little 4mm oval, just like that. And come on, Kathryn, you can grab it. Oh, by the end of the video, my eyes are going, you are tired, and you know it. All right, but I'm going to go ahead and use one of these magnet clasps. And so let's try this one more time. I'm going to have to use a slightly bigger jump ring because I could not get it to hold through the little opening for this magnet clasp. This is a fairly heavy-duty magnet here. So once I open it up, I go ahead and put it on. I twist one wrist and make sure it's closed by touching the top of it. And then I'm going to take one side off. We're going to do the same thing on the other side and see if we can't finish up this bracelet. Now, again, I'm going to hold it between 2 of chain nose pliers. Well, first I'm going to turn it around so the slit's at the top. I'm going to twist one wrist, make sure it's open. Then I'm going to take and put on my wire guard. Oh, first I'm going to have to pick it up because I dropped it. I'm going, what is your problem? I know what my problem is. I'm tired at this point. My eyeballs are tired. All right. I'm going to go ahead and put on my wire guard. Then I'm going to go ahead and put on the other side of this magnetic clasp. I really love these. And this bracelet will be for me alone because I made a mistake in it. Therefore, I am not putting it up in the shop unless I do another one. And the mistake that I made, you might catch it when you look at the pictures, is that when I did, isn't that pretty? I just love this. I'm kind of glad it has a mistake. When you look at the one side of the wire guard, I mashed the tubing on the end and could not get it to come back up. That's what and isn't that nice? Now look at this other end. And so I did half hitches around it, and that's the way I made sure that I joined the thread to both sides right there. Now, a long time ago, I finished all of mine off this way with the little half hitches around it, and they look beautiful. And if it was that, I would do it on both sides. But what happened was, when I mashed that, caught the very end of that tubing and mashed it, it caused it to be rough. And I won't put that in the shop, but I'll wear it myself. All right, so this is the finished piece, and it is gorgeous, and I do have enough beads to get another one made, and I plan on making one to go in our next jewelry shop. in the shop. And by the way, our shop is at circleartdesigns.net. If you haven't looked at our last jewelry drop, give us a look. You'll find it over on the side, and it says new to the shop. And that'll be our newest jewelry, always right there. Things go in and out of it. Isn't that pretty? I just love this piece. So I will do another one to share. Alrighty. So let's see here. Now, the thing is, this pattern can be used for a lot of things. And I have some other designs I want to do with this. It will really change the way it looks by what beads you use. And there are just an infinite amount of beads you could use with this pattern. Thank you so much for joining me today on this beading adventure. I had a lot of fun doing this piece. It's delicate, and yet it is just so whimsical in its look, and I absolutely love it. I hope that you look in your own stash and see what beads you have that you can use this pattern on. I hope you have an amazing beading adventure of your own this week. And as I said, give us a try or check out our channel at Handmade by Circle Art Designs and see if there's something you might like to try there. I really had a wonderful time sharing with you today. I hope you had fun too. And I will see you later in the week. God bless. Kathryn, Handmade by Circle Art Designs. Bye, y'all.